Hey guys, welcome back to Life Between Lifts. I am your host, Drew.
And I'm your host, Alina. And today we are going to be talking about wedding season and getting ready for your wedding. We got married last year in 2025, and we want to talk about our experience with everything, kind of our stories. And we also, I don't know about you, Drew, but I feel like I have so many clients who either got married last year or are getting married this year, which is really
Um,
exciting now because, like, we've also been through it, like, personally. So I think it's really cool to have clients that are brides. I don't know. I get really excited about them.
I get excited too. It was so much fun, like when we were going through the journey together. I feel like I had so many in 2025 and I have a few in 2026. But if you are getting married in 2026 or 2027, sometime in the future, hopefully this episode is helpful. So we'll first go over what we actually did and then we'll kind of go over like what our approach would be with clients.
So I'm gonna kind of cover the entire like year of 2025. So I actually was going into my wedding and like I didn't even think I wanted to go into a deficit at all. I know a lot of times like people getting ready for their wedding, they get engaged or they think they're gonna get engaged and they're like, okay, I need to like be in a fat loss phase. I need to lose body fat. Like I need to lose weight, like leading up to it. And I feel like I was honestly not the opposite, but like I was feeling really comfortable. A lot of my goals last year were more performance related. Like I knew in April I did my first half marathon. So I was training for that. Like after I got engaged, I was running a lot. I really wasn't too worried about like being in a deficit. I was more so worried about like fueling myself and making sure that I could perform to the best of my ability, like with my runs and with my lifts. So I had a half marathon in April and then I did another half marathon in June, and then I got married in November. So after those 2 half marathons, I think that's when I was finally was like, "Okay, I'm gonna start to, like, come down, get back into, like, just lifting more so and keeping my focus on that versus running so much." And then I think once I started pulling back, I was like, "Okay, like, maybe I could go into a cut for a little bit." And then I had, like, my Europe trip come up in August, and I really just wanted to enjoy that. So technically, I did start my deficit before that trip, but I decided to go to Europe and not worry about tracking. Like, I was there for, like, 2 or 3 weeks. It was a good trip, and I just wanted to enjoy it. I didn't wanna have to worry about, like, being in a deficit. Like, I'm actually, no, I say this now, I'm like, This is a once in a lifetime trip," and I'm like, "No, I'm going back. I don't care." But going into that trip, I wanted to enjoy it, and then coming out, I honestly didn't have much time left to, like, be in a deficit. So going into my wedding, like, I was only a couple pounds into my deficit at that point. So that's kind of where I was. I feel like that's very detailed.
No, it's okay. Is there anything that you like intentionally did not do?
Intentionally did not do. Like, with my prep?
Yeah, with like just like your cut or anything like that?
Yeah, I knew that I didn't wanna be, like, deep into a cut, like, close to my wedding or, like, around fun trips, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't wanna be miserable going into, like, any of, like, the fun events, like my bachelorette party or the wedding itself. So, I honestly think I kind of, like, took it a little easier in my deficit, if that makes sense. So, I wasn't, like, grinding with a bunch of cardio or, like, I didn't have my food really low or anything like that yet. So, that's definitely something that I did do.
Can't relate.
I know,
Um,
Drew.
I took a different approach. So I think that one thing that I learned from this is that I went and bought my dress when I was like the leanest version of myself. So I actually like ended a cut, went wedding dress shopping, found my dress, and then when I did the measurements, I was like, oh yeah, just do the measurements from where I'm at right now. So I got my dress when I was pretty lean, and then I reversed out from there, and then I ended up doing like a 3 to 4 month cut, which isn't very long actually. So I was a little bit more on the opposite end of the spectrum. I was pretty aggressive with it. I only had like it was under 4 months for sure, around like 3.5, probably 3.5 months. So food did get quite low for me. Cardio did get quite high. I think by the end of my cut, I was doing like 30 minutes, 5 days a week of cardio, and my food was around like 1650. So that's pretty aggressive for me. Um, but I ended up, like, getting back to where I was at, so everything fit fine. I think the one thing that was super nice for me, and we'll talk about alterations and everything like that, is I am very fortunate because my mother-in-law is a seamstress, so she was, like, making alterations literally, like, 3 days before I left on the trip, which was so nice, but I know that's not the case for everyone. So I would say my approach was a little bit more aggressive and not for like any reason that I wanted to get like super, super lean. I just wanted to make sure I fit in my dress. I didn't like think about that at all. Um, and honestly, I tried on my dress like probably like 3 weeks before I was leaving to Italy and it didn't zip up. Like I remember sending you guys the
I
picture
remember this.
and
Yeah,
I like, oh my gosh, my dress
but
literally
it was
doesn't.
just, like, this much. It was
Yeah.
your lats.
Yes, and that's what my unfortunately, or fortunately, I should say, is that I do have some lats, but my mom was like, "Stop training your back. Like, stop training your back. You're gonna fit in your dress. It's gonna be fine." And I'm like, "I will not stop training my back." But I didn't have a lot of body fat to lose, so I was so nervous. I was like, "I don't know how this is going to fit." And then I ended up getting to Italy, and it was like loose because I think just like all the stress like left my
Yeah.
body, and I was like eating pasta and pizza and all the things in Italy, and it was like loose on me. So there's just so much that goes into it and we'll dive deep, but I think that our approaches were very different, which gives this episode a good perspective because she was a little bit more chiller and I was like probably a little bit too stressed going into it.
You need to be, like, somewheres in the middle of us.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
But I think that's such a good point, Drew, like, about your dress, and I know when I was dress shopping and, like, once I did find my dress, I honestly like, it was before I started I think it was, like, maybe right around when I started training for my half marathon, so even though I wasn't, like, intentionally in a deficit, like, I did lose a couple pounds during half marathon training just because you're running like, how many hours a week, so I did try on dresses, like, I would say I was, like, at the end of, like, a build, like, an unintentional build phase,
Yeah.
so I think the fact that, like, I did fall in love with the dress that I picked while I was at, like, a higher weight for myself, I think that helped so much, and then I was able to, like, still feel confident without losing too much weight, so I would say that's maybe something that I learned from this experience is that, like, you wanna find a dress, if you can, that you're confident in, um, at that moment, and I know, Drew, again, it was a little hard because you were leaner at that time, so you were probably
Yeah,
like, "This is great." But, like, find a dress that you're confident in, like, you shouldn't be pushing to fit into clothes, you know what I mean? So,
exactly. Yeah.
I think that was really helpful, and it's actually funny because Drew and I tried on the same exact dress, we had no idea until we, like, sent pictures, and I think,
Yes.
Drew, was that, like, your second choice too?
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
pretty close, yeah. So, this dress was my second choice, and the reason I didn't go with it was, like, so pretty, it was expensive, but the reason I didn't go with it is because I just didn't like the way it laid, like, on my stomach, and I knew in that moment, like, I don't wanna feel, like, self-conscious on my wedding day, so I was like, "I love this dress, but it might not be the one if I'm already, like, staring at my stomach," you know, when I'm
Yeah.
trying.
That's
Yeah.
actually the exact same reason why I didn't pick it.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I had, like my friends were, like, taking pictures of me, and just from, like, the side profile, like, I would just was like and I'm like, "I am literally so lean." Like,
Yeah.
it honestly had nothing to do with, like, me or, like, your
Yeah.
stomach or anything like that. It's just, like, sometimes how dresses lay, but I was like, "If I
Yeah.
don't feel good, like, in every angle, then I don't want to, purchase it."
Yeah.
And going off of, like, what Alina said, I do think it's important too that, like, you can always, like, make alterations to make the dress smaller, but you can't make it bigger, you know? And so or for the most part, there's some things that you can do, but that was
Yeah.
kind of my issue is I wish I would have, maybe sized up and then you don't have that pressure of, like, trying to fit into a dress. And I do wanna go into that of just, like, the pressure of wedding ready because, we don't want this episode to seem like you have to go into a deficit or, like, you have to fit into a dress. Like, there's so much pressure on social media and everyone like they get engaged and then there's like okay I have to lose so much weight before I want to feel my best on my wedding day but we're not saying that like everyone needs to go through a deficit before their wedding or anything like that. It's just very common with our clients that they are wanting to feel their best on their wedding day and that usually means losing a little bit of body fat.
Yeah, and I think approaching it in a way that's, like, still sustainable, like, I know
Mhm.
Drew is a maybe a little bit more aggressive, approaching it in a way that's still sustainable, so then we're not just, like, focused on one specific day, because I know a lot of times, like, for clients especially, like, they have their one big day in mind, and it's like, "Okay, we're really motivated, we're cutting, we're grinding, we're doing all the things," and then the day comes, and then they completely fall off because maybe it was too hard or maybe they were only looking to that one day, but kind of looking at, like, the long term and, like, making it a little bit more sustainable, I think is going to be a little bit healthier in my opinion. And that's honestly something that I did like going into my wedding. Like, no, I wasn't the leanest. Like, I'm honestly leaner now than I was during my wedding, but I got to go through my wedding, enjoy it, feel really good, and then also come out of my wedding and be like, "Okay, like, I wanna dig a little bit deeper now. Like, let's
Yeah.
grind a little bit more," because now, again, that stress is dropping off. Like, the amount of free time that came up for me after I was done wedding planning, I was like, "Wait, I can do my cardio and, like, not stress," you know? So,
Yeah.
kind of having, like, that sustainable approach too.
I think that leads us into, like, a great spot too of just, like, timeline of prepping for the wedding, because a lot of times what I love to do with clients is, like, they set their wedding date and then we work backwards from there. So it's like, "Okay, I'm getting married in June, like, how long do we want to be cutting for? How long do we wanna be reversing for?" Because an ideal, in my opinion, an ideal timeline is, like, going through a cut and then reversing into the wedding, because 1, you're gonna have a little bit more food freedom, like Alina said, is a little bit more sustainable. I also think people don't think about, like, when you go through a deficit, if you are getting, like, quite lean, you do look a little bit, like, flatter,
Yeah.
and that was something that I noticed on myself is, like, I wish I would've just had, like, a little bit more of a fuller look. So I think being able to, like, set your wedding date and then work backwards, and it usually actually is a lot longer. Like, I have, some of my clients who are like, "I'm getting married in 2027. Let's, like, get on a call and, like, map it all out," and I love that because then we can, like, we have so much time and we don't have to be, like, rushed, like your girl Drew. So, I think that is the best way to do it is, like, find your wedding date, work backwards, and then you can be like, "Okay, let's reverse, let's cut, let's reverse into the wedding." Um, and we'll touch on this a little bit later, but reversing to the wedding, I feel like is so ideal just because then you're not like food focused, like you can eat really whatever you want. There's so many events going on. So that would be like my ideal approach.
Yeah, I know, Drew, I love when, like, clients come to me and they're like, "I'm getting married," or like, I just got engaged." I'm like, "Okay, when's the wedding?" And they're like, "Next year," or like, "In 2 years." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Perfect."
Yes.
That
Yeah.
makes it so much easier. How long would you say I mean, in my mind, I feel like that reverse after that cut, like, going into the wedding, how
Mhm.
long would you say you want that reverse phase to be? I feel like maybe around, like, 4 to 6 weeks, I would say, because
Yeah.
I feel like at that point, like, you're getting to, like, loosen up a little bit, but, like, your hunger cues, you're gonna be more kind of settled into the reverse. You're still lean, but, like, you're gonna feel a little bit fuller because you are getting carbs again.
Yeah.
So I feel like that would be, like, a sweet spot,
Yeah,
but I know
I
it's
think I think 4 weeks, like, anywhere, like, from 4 to 6 weeks, because also, like, our goal too is, like, we don't want you to, like, because in a reverse, you might gain a little bit, so I think, like, there's a period of time where people are just kinda, like, coasting because, again, like, you want your dress to fit. Most people can't get alterations, 3 days before their wedding, like, there's a timeline where they're like, "Okay, this is my last alteration," and that's something that you can talk about too when we're doing that timeline. It's like, "This is, my last alteration," so pretty much, like, once you get to that point, you're kinda just, like, coasting into the wedding. Of course, food can increase and you can still maintain, but I think, like, that's something to think about too, is, like, sometimes when we push it a little bit past that 4 or 6 week mark, then we could see, like, a little bit of change in someone's composition, but that's the reason why you have a coach is because we're looking at all of those things and being like, "Oh, hey, weight is actually going up a little bit, quicker than we thought. Let's just pull back a little bit," or, like,
Yeah.
"Everything looks beautiful, give you more food." So I think having someone to, like, take the reins is so nice. Both Alina and I had coaches, like, during that time, so it's nice for someone else to, you know, take the bias out of it because I probably would have been crashing out.
Yeah, and, like, take the emotions out of it too, I
Mhm.
feel like that's the hardest
Totally.
part, because it's like, we know what to do, like, if you, like, brought, like, our, experiences as, like, another client, we'd be like, "Okay, like, just do this, like, what do you mean?"
Yeah,
But, like, when it's yourself, you're like, "But I don't know," like
exactly. When there's, like, body dysmorphia takes, like, over for, like, everyone, no matter who you are, like, I look back and I'm like, "Oh, whoa," like, I was actually, in a great spot for my body composition, but, like, sometimes you just, like, make things up in your head and
For sure.
yeah.
Okay, so coming back to how Drew and I were talking about, like, how clients come pretty early, if you do give yourself enough time, we can make sure that you're going through the proper phase and able to go through this approach in the best way. So if you are, like, getting engaged or you got engaged or you're coming to a coach, a couple things that we're gonna look at to decide, like, where we should go as far as, like, the next phase. So just talking about nutrition phases really quick, I'll give you guys a rundown. Typically, when we're talking about these, it's going to be like a cut, your deficit, where you're focused on losing body fat, your reverse, where you're focused on the foundation, bringing up your food, or even going into a build where you're focused on being in a calorie surplus and putting on some muscle. So again, coming down to your goals, if you're like, okay, I want to lose body fat going into my wedding, but maybe I'm coming to my coach and I'm like under eating. I'm not really feeling that great. I don't have a lot of muscle on me. I don't have a good routine or foundation set yet. That's a really good time to, if you do have time, go into a reverse before, focus on your reverse, focus on building your foundation. We can maintain for a couple weeks at the end of that, and then go into your cut from there. And like Drew said, work your way back so that it gives you like the right amount of time and you're not crammed at the end of everything. But again, too, like if your goal is not fat loss, maybe it is building muscle, that's also something that we could do too. Like if you have a year before your wedding or more, like maybe we build for 8, 10 months and then maybe we maintain the last 2, 4 months before your wedding. So then this way, like after your alterations are done, like you have that period of like, okay, I'm chilling here, like I'm maintaining, I'm not seeing a whole lot of changes in my body composition. So it really just depends like where you're at currently, your goals, and then kind of going from there.
Yeah, I think that was perfect. I don't have anything to add.
I
Clock
was like, "Do
it.
you have anything to say, Coach Drew?"
We also wanted to chat about just like navigating wedding season because there are so many events. I feel like when I
Totally.
have clients who are planning a wedding, it's like you have bridal showers, you have your bachelorette trips, you have literally, I feel like it's just like every weekend. And so that's
Mhm.
another thing to think about too when you are sitting down with your coach, or maybe you're doing this independently and you're planning out that whole entire year or whatever the timeline is making sure you're taking into account for those things. So whether it's like Alina and you're going to Europe for a little bit, or a lot of people have like bachelorette trips. Like I went to Austin, like, gosh, I don't know. It was like a couple weeks before we left. That one
Yeah.
was actually unexpected. My friends surprised me. So maybe get friends who are gonna like actually tell you what's going on. But there's just so many things that you need to account for. And during those times, you are going to be eating food. Like no one should be going to their bridal shower or their bachelorette trip and eating out of Tupperware. Like that is
Right.
lame. Don't do
Yeah.
that. It's like the one time that you get to, like, celebrate with your friends and family, and so we want to make sure that you can enjoy that. And so I think having those in and just understanding that, like, one meal or one weekend is not going to ruin your progress. Like,
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah. If it makes you feel a little bit better, like diet breaks and refeeds are a thing too. So treat it as a diet break. Like let yourself just enjoy it. Don't stress about tracking macros. I did not track a single thing at my bachelorette party, at my bridal shower. Like that's not what I was worried about. I was worried more just like being present with my friends. And I do have great friends too who are like, okay, like let's have maybe healthier meals or like healthier options just because that's what we feel best eating. But at the same time, like your focus is being present. And I think if we're focused on that, like it's gonna be okay. Like you're gonna have your meal and you're gonna move on and it's gonna be good. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, let's get into wedding day energy and aesthetics. Drew, how did you feel like on your actual wedding day? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I honestly felt like the day was the most perfect. Like I would seriously not change anything. And if you guys know me personally, I'm like the most type A. Like the fact that I can say that I would not change one thing about the day is actually insane. Like my mom's probably listening, rolling her eyes. But I honestly felt so confident. I also like we talked about this a little bit about having like adequate energy levels. Obviously, with going into a cut, you can feel lower, but I was in Italy for I think like 3 to 4 days before our wedding day. Lots of pasta, lots of pizza. I just was like, there was no stress whatsoever. And I think a lot of people have so much stress on their wedding day, but like that was not the case for me. Like I had zero stress. I felt super confident. And this is probably TMI, but like anyone that's listening to this podcast knows me. So it's like fine. Um, before going into my wedding, I didn't feel stressed. My aura ring was like saying differently, but I didn't feel stressed. I was like, I'm not stressed. It's fine. But my cycle was like 20 days late. And I obviously was in a deficit, but also like just the planning of a wedding is so stressful on you. Immediately got to, like I said, my dress was like loose because like all the inflammation was gone. I started my period, like all of those things. So it's like, I think like once you finally get to the day, it's just like stress is gone.
You can like breathe
Yeah.
finally.
You just
Yeah.
breathe.
And I
So
remember you texting us that like when you were in Italy and you're like, wait, I feel like a normal person again.
yeah, it was like everything was like, it was so nice. So,
Yeah,
um, honestly, I felt great. There's not a whole lot that I would
yeah.
change, truly.
Do you feel like you thought much about, like, how you looked on that day?
No,
Yeah,
truly, like, I think that's the biggest thing is we put so much pressure, like, this whole podcast is, like, talking about, like, how you look, but I don't even think, like, that was, like, my focus at all. Like, I that whole moment is just, like, you and your favorite human, and so, like, I even, like, when I think back about it, I'm not even thinking about, like, how I looked
yeah.
or anything like that.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. That's why I wanted to ask you that because
Mhm.
when I think of like leading up to my wedding day, honestly, I was like maybe a little bit stressed because I was like, oh, I kind of want to be a little bit leaner. I also like we had a lot of coaches coming in for my wedding too. So I was like, I don't want them to like see me and like not look good, you know? Like I was like, I want to look good. I want you to be able to see my delts. Like I want them to be
Which you
popping.
could. I was like, "Pop off."
But that's, like, leading into it, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, these are people I haven't seen in a while," or, like, coaches coming in and stuff, so I was, like, I think a little bit stressed about my physique, but the day of, like, I didn't think about my body at all, honestly,
Mhm.
like, maybe when I was putting my dress on, but, like, the second I put my dress on, I was like, "Oh my god," like, I kinda feel like a princess.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the end of the day, like, what I remember most from my wedding is just, like, being around people that I love, and the pizza,
Oh my god.
so good.
That apple, like, fig or something,
So good, Drew. I had that for breakfast the next day.
that literally was the best piece of pizza I've ever had in my life.
Yeah,
I talk about, like, some balance. I had, like, 5 pieces. That was the
they were
best.
little. They were little.
I know, but whatever. Shout them out. Who was it? What's the company?
Flower and Forge out of Nashville. So if anybody's around the Nashville area, it was so good, and they, like, bring their pizza truck. They brought it. We had pizza for the wedding, sorry, guys, I didn't mention that. But they brought their pizza truck up, and they made all the food, and, like, our guests would just come up and pick up their slices, and they go around to, like, different, areas, and, like, you can go, like, just on the weekend or you can book them, but incredible, highly recommend, it was so good. And it was
I
such a hit too. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like I was focused on, like, being around my people, and honestly, I blacked out, like, during the ceremony. So, I was never thinking about, like, my body or, like, how I looked. I was just like, "This is such a dream of a day," and, like, honestly, a couple things did go wrong, quote, unquote, but it was the most perfect day ever, and I, like, literally wouldn't change a thing because now it's like, "Okay, I have funny stories to it too."
And you
Um,
would never know. Like, you think
yeah,
things went wrong, but, like, from a viewer standpoint, like, it seemed
yeah,
perfect.
yeah. Thank you.
Okay, we are gonna do some rapid fire questions at the end, just for like some right off the dome, but let's talk about post-wedding transition a little bit.
Okay.
So, obviously, this is going to be different versus if you were cutting before the wedding, reversing, maintaining, building, right? So I think it will just depend person to person. But I think the biggest thing is just like that mental shift after the big day. Is like if you went into it and you're like so focused on cutting, just letting go of like all that structure, enjoy being married, enjoy like those first couple of weeks with your partner, and then from there after a week or your honeymoon or whatever, then we can pick up from where we're at. There's no rush to get right back to like Alina was cutting, but right after the wedding, she wasn't like, okay, it's time to like keep going, like enjoy the time being married.
Yeah. And it's gonna be like Drew said, it's gonna be a little bit different for everybody. So I wanna talk about, like, my experience a little bit, which I did mention before, like, I was cutting. I feel like, again, kinda like Drew, I came out of the wedding and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, all of my stress is settled down." And like I said, I had more time to do stuff. So I actually felt really excited. Like, I texted my coach after because my coach was like, "Do you wanna keep cutting? Like, what's the vibe?" And I was like, "Honestly, like, I feel like it's still pretty easy and, like, now I have more time, I'm less stressed." So I was actually really excited to get back into my cut. Obviously, like, I still had family in town for a couple days after, so I just enjoyed the rest of that too and, like, had wedding leftovers and wedding desserts and stuff like that, but then afterwards got into it. But some clients are gonna be a little bit different because some people go into a honeymoon right after too, and I think this is also why it's a good point to reverse leading into your wedding, so you're not, like, going into your honeymoon just coming out of, like, the bottom of a deficit, you know, because I think
Yeah.
that can be a little hard. But yeah, reversing into it so then you can go into your honeymoon also feeling good and not stressing about food in general.
Yeah, I was that scenario, like, I got married and then we spent, like, probably 7, I don't know, 5 to 7 more days in Italy, and, like, I did not stress about food. I ate all the pasta, all the things. So I think and then when I got back, I was, like, so ready to, 1, have structure again because I'm just a structured human for to not work out for that long and to, like, not be eating probably the most nutrient dense food. I was, like, ready to get back to it, but I also was like, "Let's freaking build. Like, let's put some muscle on." So I
Yeah.
was, like, ready mentally to make that shift, but again, I think this all comes down to that, like, preparation and plan. Like, I already knew, like, when I got back, that was my goal is to put on some muscle. So I think just, like, really prepping and a plan is, like, the best way to go about it without stress.
Yeah, 100%. Do you wanna go into the rapid fire now? Are
Yep,
you good?
ready? One thing you'd absolutely do again.
Does it have to be, like, prep related, or can it be, like,
Wedding related. Yeah, anything.
I feel like
Whatever comes to
the
your mind.
pizza.
Okay, yeah. Um
What about you?
Shoot, one thing I absolutely 1,000% elope. If you're listening to this and you're thinking about planning a wedding, don't do it. Sorry, Alita. Just elope. Like, go to Italy for 2
Okay.
weeks, spend the same amount of money. If you wanna take family, cool, but if you are like us, just go the 2 of you and enjoy your
YOLO
time.
of that. Okay.
One thing you would tweak?
Oh, I think oh gosh, Drew, why is this so hard? One thing I'd tweak. I don't think I would tweak
There's, like,
anything.
nothing I would change. I know that sounds so, like,
I
dumb, but
know.
there's nothing I would change, honestly.
One thing Drew, you probably didn't, like, experience this at all. I wouldn't freaking stress so much about decorations and, like, cocktail hour and, like, placing everything in the perfect spot. I didn't even see cocktail hour. I didn't even get any, like, hors d'oeuvres. I don't know. Did Drew, did you get any?
Well, honestly, I was gonna say, you're like, "Don't stress about the decorations or anything." Literally, that was, like, the best part of your wedding. They were so
Okay,
cute. Like,
okay.
everything was so aesthetic and just, like, perfect. Like, I still have the picture of the dogs, like, the cocktail with the dogs on
Yeah.
it. It was so
Oh, no,
cute.
I
So
would keep that.
don't stress about it, but also it was, like, perfect for, like, your
Okay.
guys' wedding.
Yeah, I think just as the bride, I was like I stressed about all of that, and then I didn't see any of it. But I guess as the
Yeah,
guest, you're like, "I appreciated it."
it was cute. I think the only thing I would tweak, honestly, is I wish I would have brought makeup with me, like, post crying like a little bitch,
Oh,
'cause I was, like, bawling during our vows, and then afterwards, I was like, I didn't bring anything with me, and we were literally in, like, rural Italy, so we're, like, not close to our hotel, and so, like, I probably had, like,
tears
tears. Yeah.
streaming down your face. Drew, did you hear about the first time I cried? Did I tell you this story?
No?
Okay, so I literally we had, like, this little bridal house, and that's where we, like, all got ready. So I come out of the bridal house, I'm with, like, 2 of my best friends walking with me, and I look down because that's, like, where the barn was that we got married and everything. I look down, and I see my 2 dogs, Maya and Leo, and they looked so happy. I literally looked at them, and I just started sobbing, and they looked at me, they're like my friends, they're like, "Are you okay? Like, what's happening? Like, is everything fine?" And I was like, "They just look so happy and they don't know what's going on." And I literally just started bawling.
I
So,
almost cried when I saw them too. Seeing them in person, I was like, "My god." I remember, like, I was so excited to see you, but that was the first thing that Mac and I saw when we got out of the car, and I was, like, sprinting to the dogs.
wait, Drew, before we close out this episode, I saw you're doing, like, a little bit of a caffeine reset with your clients. How is that going? Are you still doing it?
I am still doing it. I started Monday, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm on day 5. It feels like forever.
That's so good.
Honestly, the first 3 days, I thought I was going to, like, lose it. I had the worst headache. I didn't realize, like, I drink caffeine daily, but not a lot, like 200 milligrams, maybe max. So I was like, "Okay, this isn't gonna be too bad." Immediately when I started, I was like, "I regret texting my clients this." Like, they're probably listening to this. I was like, "I I should not have said that. I should have just allowed myself to, like, do this on my own," because now I'm like, now I have the accountability
Yeah.
of, like, I have all my clients in a group chat, and we're all suffering together, but I have some clients who were consuming a lot. Like, I want you to guess.
Oh, like 600 milligrams? More? Are their hearts okay?
I don't think so. So, I had some clients that were consuming a little bit too much. That's why I was like, "Okay, it'd be good for them, it'd be good for me," but it's
Yeah.
been really difficult, but now, like, day whatever, I'm on 4 or 5, I actually feel pretty good. Like, yesterday, I was like, "Okay, I actually don't need caffeine, I just, like the taste of, like, coffee and energy drinks and stuff like that." So, I feel so much better that I'm like, "Man, I feel so good, I don't think I need to go 14 days. I think I can just do 7."
Well, no, I feel like it is the first couple of days that are the
Yeah.
hardest. But I've said this before, and if a company does this, I want to get paid whatever you make. But I feel like Ghost and like Alani's, they need to make non-caffeine drinks
Yes.
because sometimes I just want the vibe of, like, drinking
Yes.
an energy drink, but I don't want the caffeine.
Yeah, like,
So,
sometimes at 3 p.m., I just wanna crack open a Ghost without caffeine. I'm like, "Why have they not done that yet?"
yeah, I don't get it. Should we go to them?
Yeah, we should, but then also we need a free supply for life. Like, you
I
don't even
know.
have to give me a cut, like, I just want them forever.
That's true, yeah, I just don't wanna pay for them, and then we're
But
good.
Ghost, if you're listening to this, put up an ad or something.
Yeah. No, I think about this all the time, cause like, coffee, like, they have decaf coffee, and, like, sometimes I just
Yeah.
want coffee, like, the taste of it, but I don't actually need the caffeine.
Yeah, I just think of, like, ghosts in their little lab, like, there's nothing healthy in there, just take the caffeine out. They're probably just, like, I don't even know what caffeine is. They're probably, like, squirting stuff, just don't squirt the caffeine in, keep it out. But I think that we're the only, like, health conscious people that, like, care about that. People are drinking caffeine at, like, 5 p.m. Sometimes, like, I just went to
Yeah.
a Pilates class last week, and it's, like, it was a 5:30 class, and I'm like, "Why are you guys all drinking Alani's? It's 5:30."
Alani's?
I'm like, "You
No.
guys need to stop it," but I was like, "That's not how you make friends, Drew, so don't comment."
You're like, "Do you have issues sleeping? Because I think I know why."
They're like, "Who is this bitch in the corner? Get her out of here."
No, literally. Okay, let's wrap this up because I feel like we could yap forever.
Yeah.
But thank you for letting us yap today. If you like this episode, follow us, leave us a review,
Not if it's bad, though.
and we will see you guys next Tuesday.